Angie from Canterbury Trails Farm. Today we're going to look at peppermint in the garden and how we dry it and then how to process it and how to use it. It's a very easy to grow herb that will grow really anywhere, and once you get it planted, I hope you've got it where you want it, because it will grow forever and it multiplies and it sells seeds and you just really can't get rid of it. In fact, it takes over my herb garden every year, and every fall I end up ripping it out, a lot of it out. So let's go out there and look at it. Okay, you can see that it has totally outgrown the rows it was supposed to be in, and it is just about everywhere. So I'm going to come over here. I've replanted some parsley, and the mint has wanted to grow all over. So let me, if we can look at it, you can see some of these, the tops have seeds on them already. Doesn't really bother anything for mint. You can go ahead and harvest it. I'm just going to get some sprigs here. I'm just cutting it off. It does have a peppermint oil, but it has never bothered my skin in any way. But I'm just going to get some here. In the fall, I rip out a ton of this. You can see my echinaceas are doing really well. They're getting sort of cooked. There's my yarrow. We have just had never-ending heat. We've had such a weird year. It started out so cold, and then it was so wet. And now the heat. We didn't have that many 100-degree weather days until just recently. Okay. I have a bundle here. And it smells really good. I'm just going to lop off these tops. I don't really want them. Okay, so I have this bundle. We're going to take it in. I'm going to show you how I dry them. Okay, the way I dry my mint is, first of all, I get the bundle that I want to dry, and then I just put a rubber band on the end. And I make sure I wrap it tight, because as it dries, it's going to shrink even, and the rubber band will be loose. Then I just take a clip or a, here's one, this still has some stuff, or a clothespin, and I'm just going to put that in the rubber band. And how I dry my herbs is I have this, it's the old shelf from an old refrigerator. And I have nothing on there right now. It's been so hot, most everything's been dying. And I'm going to take my bundle of herbs and just clip it up there and let it hang. Now, if I had a lot of them, I would be spacing them out, making sure that they tried not to touch each other. Up on top, sometimes I spread a layer, just like one sheet of brown craft paper, or cut from a brown paper bag, and I can put things up there that are going to shrink and fall off. Things that, like maybe berries or stuff that would fall off of the herb stalks. So that's what I reserve the top for. But I hang comfrey, and I hang mint, and I hang all my other dried herbs, horehound and echinacea and a bunch of other things that grow. I just hang just like that. Pretty dry in the house here in the summer in Texas, and so those herbs dry very fast. I've never had any problems with mold or anything. I also have a hanger in my pantry up real high, and I can, if I only have like one or two things, I will also do the same thing. If the other one is full, just clip it on up there in the dark part of the pantry and just let it hang until it's dry. What do we do once it's dry? It's going to look like, here is a bundle. It's going to look like this. so it changes. And I'm going to show you how I take this off and what I do with it. So we have a bowl, obviously, and the best way I do it is I want to get rid of the sticky part of the stem. I don't really need to keep that. Usually you can just, it's dry and you can just slide your fingers down the stalk and the dried leaves will come right off. And you can do quite a lot very quickly because it just cracks right off because it's so dry. It does make a bit of a mess, so be prepared to vacuum or sweep afterward. But the upside is it smells really good, and it's not difficult. And you can see how fast I'm doing the bundle that I showed you. And this is peppermint. I've grown spearmint and other various kinds of chocolate mint, and but I actually don't think this is purely peppermint anymore, because I did at one point, I planted spearmint about 8 years ago next to the peppermint, and I think at some point they crossed, but that's okay, because it all tastes the same. It all has the same benefits. Okay, here we have the leaves from that one bundle, and I'm just going to go through them, just, because, and just make sure there weren't any little sticks. You can see, like, there's a few little stalks. Now if those get in there, it's okay, it's not a big deal. Alright, so here's my dried mint leaves. Now what am I going to do? You could just leave it like this if you wanted to, and use it in teas and medicinal things. But what I like to do is just take some of my kitchen scissors. I'm just going to bunch it up and cut it. This is going to make it a little bit smaller for when I put it into tea bags. We drink this as a straight tea. It's good, it's refreshing, it's nice just to drink. Oh, it's also good for heartburn and stomach upsets. And then I use it in a lot of medicinal teas. It's good for respiratory and digestive, and I think I even have it in an insomnia tea. And I also use it as a general flavor enhancer in a lot of teas. A lot of the herbs have very bitter or just nasty taste. I always say valerian tastes like an old gym sock smells like. So a lot of your teas just have really gross sort of smells to them. So if you put the peppermint in with your other tea, it will be a flavor enhancer. So now I'm just going to put this in my, I have a large container here because, like I said, we use this for tea a lot. We go through a lot of it. Shake it down. And I just leave this half tablespoon measure in there so people can use it for tea whenever they want to. And I have an airtight jar. See that it is not a complicated process to dry. It takes I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. If you live in a really wet climate, you want to make sure that your leaves have plenty of space and air around them so no mold or mildew occurs. If you do live in a more moist climate, you might want to make sure your bundles aren't that dense and maybe just 3 or 4 sprigs together. So the circulation of the air is the very important part. I live in such a dry climate and have such extreme heats, and we run our air condition almost constantly from May till sometimes the end of October. So there's always a lot of dry air, and that moisture just gets sucked out really fast in anything that I hang to dry. But you might not live in such a dry place, and you need to watch out for the mold and the mildew. If you do see a leaf that's looking like it has fuzzy stuff growing on it, that's probably mold or mildew. So go pick that off, and maybe separate your clusters a little bit more, so you get the adequate air supply that's needed for the mint to dry out. It's the standard drying practice. Any herb that you want to really hang to dry, it's the same thing that I just showed you. You can use twine, you can use string. I've used twist ties, but for my most part, I find just wrapping a rubber band around the end and clipping it with a clothespin or some other kind of sandwich back clip or whatever you use, and then just hanging it from whatever rack or hanger that you have secured in a cool, dry, mostly dark place. And that's all there is to it. Now I can use this in tea. We use 1 to 2 tablespoons usually of peppermint for 1 6 to 8 ounce cup of tea. Just boil the water and you put the peppermint in a tea bag. And if you don't have a metal tea sieve, you can tea ball. I have a video on how to make your own muslin tea bags that you can reuse. So I'll make sure to link that down there. So that has been the demonstration of how to cut, hang and dry, and then process the dried peppermint for use in teas. And I hope this has been beneficial. Thank you for joining me. This is Angie from Canterbury Trails Farm. Bye.